Hello, welcome to Crafting with Jane. Today we're looking at Winter is Coming because I love the silhouettes on these and I like these words as well. So we are going to use a mask, and we're going to do a mask two different ways. So what I suggest is that you take whatever your card blank is going to be. I never give you the sizes because you might want to do it square, you might want to do it 7 by 5, you might want to do it a tall thin, but what you're going to do is you're going to cut a piece of copy paper or other paper exactly the same size as the piece you're doing, and then you die cut your image out of there. So I've chosen an oval. You could do a circle, you could do a square, you could do anything you want. We're going to keep this piece and we're going to use this piece to start off with. So you can stick it down if you want, I just hold it because I know it's exactly the same size. And we're going to use a variety of colours. I'm going to use some pinks and some purples and a bit of green, I think. And I'm going to start with, let me have a look and see on my pinks and purples. So I'm going to start on here. In fact, I'm going to turn, just for the purposes of doing this, I'm going to take my matte away. I've got a darker matte because sometimes I get a bit of a flicker because I've got quite a high definition camera, and it doesn't particularly like it can strobe a little bit, and I don't like that. I don't like the flickering. So this is coming out a bit orange because I have some orange on here, but that's fine because I want to just bring in some other colours in here. And I've still, I think, got some green on this little brush, so I'm just going to take the green in from the bottom, which just gives me a line of where I want to go. But I want it to be quite dark, so I'm just carefully doing this. I'm going to do my green first because I want to blend the top into the bottom a bit. So just taking some green, making sure I hold it nicely, take it from the bottom and just coming up a bit with it so I can get it a bit darker. And if you take it off first, you don't get the splodges which I do occasionally, but it doesn't matter that much because what we're going to do, it doesn't matter about that. So that's the green. Then I want to do the pink coming through. So I've got the orange that I've done. I'm just going to use this pink to start off with. I need to ink it up first and hold it in, and then I'm going to take this across the middle part. Because I want it quite sort of, almost sort of sunsetty in on this middle bit. And then I'm going to just take the purple and do the purple up on the top. Then I can put those inks away. So this is like a deep purple. Hold this in, or let me just hold it up from there, take it from the top and bring it in so I can have this lovely sort of purple coming in from the top. Bring it down on the sides, bring it down a little bit on the bottom, which will give a little bit of a, just an outline. A little bit more on the purple up here. Okay, so that's that part done. But what I want to do is I want to sparkle it up a bit, or shimmer it up a bit more likely. So I have got a little spray bottle here, and I'm going to use the Luscious Pigment Powders from Indigo Blue. Amazing things. and I want the orange at the top and I want the green at the bottom. Now they activate with a bit of water, but I want them more like a powder, so it takes a little while for the inks to dry. But what I want to do with this is to literally just take, and I've got a very soft brush here, I'm just taking a little bit of this, dabbing it in, and I'm going to dab it off in the lid, and then I'm going to take it over the top of here and I'm just going to brush it in and across just on this top bit here, and you can see it's moving around because my ink's dried, but I can activate it by just spritzing a little bit of water. So I'm just sort of loading it up a little bit on here because I really love this, even though it's quite a bright, vibranty sort of orange, it just gives a real sort of sunsetty glow. So I'm just dabbing it on there like that. I'm going to take my water from quite a height. Let me move that out of the way because I don't want it to go all wet. So I'm just taking it from a height to there. And then this it gives it a bit of a speckles, which is fine. And I want a little bit of this green down on the bottom. So I'm going to just make sure that I've got most of this off. Now this is just a fine little, almost like a little makeup brush, but it does work quite well for these sorts of things. So I can just down on here on the bottom, just want to bring this in a bit, and again just dab it across, and it will give this really rather lovely sparkly colour to it. Now I can also go back, I don't want it to come off too much on here. I can also come back on, I'm just going to put some of this back in here because I don't need to use all of it. I'm going to go back in onto the orange. So this green is called Green Apple, and this orange is called Fizzy Pop. So I'm just going to add just a little bit more of this while it's wet, and then I can just sort of brush it in a bit. Now I've got a little bit of a blobby bit on there, but that doesn't matter because we're going to be stamping over it, and it was literally just where I sprayed it, but I just wanted to have this really rather lovely shimmer on it. So you can see where this is still quite wet, the pigment powders just stick to it beautifully. So that's got my colour on, and that's what I want on there. So I can put those back and just brush off my brush. Now I want to do the stamping. Now I could put it in on a stamp positioning tool, which might be a smart thing to do, because if I don't, we've obviously got the pigment on there, but I'm going to try it without because I like living dangerously, and these stamps are really, really good. So we're using the Winter is Coming, but it's just a really lovely silhouette tree, and I love silhouettes. So we're going to have him sort of in on the center. So I just need to, I think I might need a bigger block than that. Let me just get a slightly bigger block. I'm going to just put it in on the center like this. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to put, because this is really, really hard, I'm just going to put a mat underneath because it just gives just a little bit of pressure and makes it easier to stamp. Okay, and obviously it's bent up a little bit. Now you could do a couple of them because when you spray the water, obviously this is only copy paper, so it comes up quite you know, quite a bit, but it's not too bad. So what I want to do is I need to get my black ink, which is down on here. Let's make sure that's in on there nicely. And then I just want to ink this up. I want to ink it up as well as I can, so I'm really inking it quite well. I probably need to re-ink this actually, because it is getting a little bit dry. It's not inking up as well as it normally is. This is VersaFine Onyx Black. So I am going to put this in on the center here, right sort of in the center, and it's really not going to matter that much because it's not going to come outside. Excuse me. So I'm literally just going to leave this to rest just for a minute because I want it to absorb in there. I'm just giving it a little bit of a press in. And then I'm just going to lift it to see. I think that's going to come out. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Exactly where I wanted it on there. And I want to do this little foliage at the bottom because I think that will just add just a little bit of extra in on there. So that comes in, and you can see I did it in purple, and I didn't use orange at all, but because I used the Fizzy Pop Luscious, just the powder, it's made it absolutely beautiful. Really, really love this sort of technique on there. And as I say, if you haven't got any of them, I'd seriously suggest getting some. You can get them with a excuse me, with a 20% discount. Just quote at checkout, use the code Jane, Jane 20, and Jane is in lowercase, and you will then get 20% off. So you know, it's worth doing. Right, I'm going to ink these up, and then these are going to come just down in the bottom. You'll have to excuse if my head comes in a bit because I want to have them so that they come up onto the bottom of the tree trunk like that. And I'm just going to press it down like that, and we've just got a few of them coming through, which is good. You don't want a lot, but I just want it in on the bottom. So as you can see on this, you've just got the little bits of the trees, you know, plants and things coming through. Now I've got a tiny little bit of a blob on there. I think we can probably work with that, and I think that will be fine. So that's the start of it. Now, you know, I turned around and said about keeping the other part of the mask. So what we need to do now is we're going to put that in over the top like this. Just cover it up nicely. Just going to bring it in just a little bit. And then I wanted to do the words on this. Now, I don't even know what the words say. I haven't even looked. They're quite small, so I don't think that they will, to try and get this quite thin. Oh, I might have to close my door in a minute. It's just started raining. I think I should be all right, but I might have to just close it. I'm just putting this on here. You're gonna have to excuse me a minute. I'm just going to go and close my patio door before I get rain pouring in. There we go. It's been one of those summers this year, and coming into sort of beginning of autumn, we still have got the most horrendous, well, it's still humid, it's not a warm summer that everybody was expecting, I don't think. Right, so this I need to go in, and I'm just going to take this in on the top like that, and then I'm going to take this that way. I can't even see what it says. It's sort of, I don't know what it is. Now I could have done it in a different colour, but I wanted to just have it just sort of coming across on here and not being overly... So I'm going to take it sort of down. I know there's quite a bit of a space in here, and I will probably end up doing it over the top a bit, but I think it'll be all right. I think it'll be all right. I'm just sort of doing it so that it's not overly bright. Let's do one that way, and then that way, that way, and that way. So I've got it in different strengths, so when I take it off, you've just got this sort of wording coming through on the background, and the mask has stopped it sort of going across. Now what I can do as well is, let's just take this up on here. So that's used virtually everything from this set, apart from there's a few little mushrooms. Now I could put the little mushrooms down at the bottom, which might be quite sweet. I could also do, which I really like, I've got this little hare, which again is from the, have I got it out? Yes, I have. It's from this one. So it's called Moon Hare. And I absolutely love hare images, you know, hares gazing up at the moon. I think it's just lovely. So I thought that might actually sit in on the corner and just give that sort of little looking up at the moon, or looking up at the trees in there, just give a little bit of a focal thing. Now I love hares, that's why I'm going to do it with the hare, but you could always just do it with the little mushrooms that are in on there. But I just want to have the little hare in like this from the bottom, and it's going to sit there like that. Just making sure that it's stuck down beautiful. Just love that. Then I can take that off, and you've got those pieces on there. Now I want to do a little bit of a frame on there. As you know, I enjoy doing my frames because I think they work really well, but I haven't got a dark frame round on here. Now I could take this and just draw around it, but this line is very fine, so I'm worried that I'm not going to get it completely accurately. Now another way of doing it is to take, which is what I'm going to do, take the ovals, and if I find the oval that I used, which is this one, like that, then this is quite a harsh, or is a harsher line. So what I can do is I can either take it round on the inside, or I can take it round on the outside if I want to have that line. Now I'm just looking to see, I think if I do it on the inside I might be all right. We'll have a go. We will have a go, because I just want to see if it's going to work. And if it doesn't, then I'll put it down to experience, but it's down to me to show you. Now I'm using my Posca pens because they give a really nice fine line, and a dark one for doing the edges. And I'm just going to see how well I can do it. Now I haven't got a particularly straight hand, so I'll be able to tell you whether it works or not. What I could do is, I'm just having a look to see whether I can go up one. Don't think I can. I think that will make it way too big. Yes, it will. So I could go on the outside of this line, or I could go on the inside. And I think I'm going to go on the inside. So I just need to make sure that I have this going in. I'm going to take it round this way because I think that's going to be easier for me to use, and then I can turn it round. So I'm just going to hold it and see if I can do a very fine line. Bearing in mind that my hand is pretty shaky. I haven't got a particularly straight hand. So if I can get it round here, I'm sure you can. I'll have a look. I don't think it's going to be perfect, but it might be okay. Let's have a look and see. It's not very good, is it? Not very good at all, actually. That's probably spoilt it. Let's see if I can do it round on. I'm going to do it just with the pen like this and see if I can just make it in a dark line, as it were. Because now that I've done it, it might work better that way. But it's worth doing. If you have a very steady hand, and this die is very old, so it's got a slight warp on it. Now, I think if I do this, down on the side like this, it might work reasonably well, because then I'm just doing it as a dark shadow on the bottom, so it would be, the bottom of this would be darker, so it would give a sort of silhouette on it. So I think it might work. We'll see. We'll see. In fact, I think it might be all right. I have to wait till I get up to the top. I think we might be okay. Okay, let's have a look at that. That's not too bad, actually, because that almost gives it as a shadow coming down. It makes it almost three-dimensional, which looks quite good. What I do need to do is, a bit of colour coming through on there, is I want to just, while that is still wet, I want to just add a little bit of this this colour in here. Now it's got to be green at the bottom, hasn't it, because it was red at the top. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this and just bring it across on there, where it is still a little bit damp on there. So it's just going to stick on and add a little bit of a shine. Excuse me, a real tickle today. I keep thinking I must bring a drink with me when I'm crafting, because sometimes it just, I can take that off as well, because this is all completely dry, so that's not going to do it. I hope you can see. If I bring, yes you can, look at that lovely shine and stuff on there. I think that's beautiful. Okay, so that one has sort of worked on there. It's sort of given it a three-dimensional look, which is actually quite nice. Now I'm going to do the the other side, and that's got to be in the heavy black because that gives me my border. And as I say, I could have done some sponging around it. I don't want to. I think just as it is, it's going to work beautifully. So let me just take it off onto here, take my ruler, and you can see how far I go in because I don't actually hit the mat at all. So I'm just going to take it to about there. So we have a nice wide black line coming down. Bring it down on here. Means I could probably have put my hair up a little bit because I think I'm going to lose his tail, but maybe not. No, not quite. Down on here. And then we'll have one down on here. Now that wasn't quite as close. There we go. So that gives us our border around there. And then all I need to do is to put it onto, just clean that off a little bit so I don't have that in on there. And give it a dry off. Okay, then I can put this back on here, a little bit damp, don't want it to curl. And all I need to do now is to put this onto a black card like that. And you've got that really lovely look coming in there. So if I pick it up, you can see it with that real sparkle in on there. So I think it looks all right. I probably wish I hadn't done the line round there, but it doesn't detract to it too much if somebody didn't know. And I might actually just put a white line in to just give it a bit more of a highlight. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that. As always, please stay safe and well. Please be kind and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.